Hello everyone, welcome back to another review on the 70s and 80s talk channel. So I did say in the last video that I was going to review Bon Jovi's Lost Highway album. I am still going to be reviewing that, but I've done a review in the meantime and I said that I was going to do, and I've actually finished the review. So it is Diamond Star Halos by Def Leppard, so it's their new album that they released back in May time this year. I'd listened to half of it. Well, I've listened to all of it, but I'd listened to the first half more. So I reviewed that, and then I've been listening to the second half. And I've done the rest of the review for that. I've watched other people's reviews, because there's unlike other albums I've reviewed so far, this album was highly anticipated. A lot of people have listened to it, a lot of people have reviewed it, so I wanted to see what other people were saying as well, so I will be talking about that as well in the video. So it's Def Leppard's 12th studio album, and like I say, it was released in May 2022 this year, and their last album was released in 2015, so that was 7 years ago, so there's a 7-year gap there. So we've got singles that have been released from this album, along with some new music videos. So chart-wise, it reached 5 in the UK albums, which I think is quite good actually, quite good. It reached number 1 in the UK rock and metal albums, which again is good. I would expect that because they're Def Leppard, they are a big band still. So yeah, they're one of the few bands that are still around now, from that era, and still releasing albums. With a lineup which has been the same lineup for many decades now. It reached number 10 in the US Billboard 200, again quite good actually. So the artwork I'm going to talk about, quite cool artwork. I know a lot of other people's reviews, they mention the artwork and how it's quite it draws you to the album. You've got that iconic triangle that Def Leppard is known for as well. So yeah, I'm just gonna do what I normally do, and go through the album songs. So there's 15, is it? Yeah, it's 15 songs. I don't know if there's more on the deluxe album. I think there is a deluxe album, but I'm just reviewing the normal album here. I mean, what can you expect from a modern day Def Leppard album? It's not going to be like Hysteria, or just any of that stuff they released back then. I did think it'd sound a bit like maybe what they released in 2015. I think that album actually was called Def Leppard. I actually listened to those songs on there actually when I was at uni, which was actually like about 3 years later that was actually released. And I really like those songs. I still listen to them now, and I think they kind of did have a bit of a modernish twist. It was a bit different to their old stuff, but it was still Def Leppard, but it was still rocky, which was what I was expecting on this album, but it does differ slightly actually, which I will talk about. But I wasn't, like I said, wasn't expecting another Hysteria album. I don't think that's ever going to happen, you know. So yeah, I'm just going to go into it before I start rambling. So number 1 on the track is Take What You Want. They released this as a single, got a music video. They performed this on Jimmy Kimmel. There's a couple of videos where they play the old songs to the cast and crew, and the modern songs as well, so check that out. I actually really like watching Def Leppard play live even now, like on YouTube. They really are, like, they've done so well to last as long as they have, and to remain up there as long as they have, and they still got it, you know. They do that stage presence, the talent, they have still got that, definitely. So in this song I really love the guitar. It's really intense and heavy, which is great. Joe Elliott's vocals are quite like shouty, which is it's good sounding, which is often done in Def Leppard songs. You've got like these R's like in there, which is nice. You've got a slower bit where you can hear the cymbals on the drums. Then it builds back to that guitar, which repeats with added extra guitar pieces on top. Kind of like 2 guitars, which Def Leppard are known for as well. 2 electric guitars. I think they're like, I don't know if I'm wrong in saying this, but I'm sure they were like one of the first bands that really set that in stone, like the 2 guitars bouncing off each other sort of thing. I don't know if I'm right in saying that. I feel like I have read that somewhere. So number 2 is Kick. Again, music video. I think they have released this as a single, I'm assuming. It's very much like Animal, the music video, with the kind of circus going on, which is a nice full circle moment to see there for the fans and the band itself. I think the song itself is very catchy. It's easy to get stuck in your head. Can I just point out in the music video how fantastic they all look? They really do look fantastic. So the song, the lyrics are well written and they rhyme really well. Like I say, it's a catchy song. It's a good song, yeah. Number 3 is Fire It Up. It's actually essentially a rap in a lot of the parts, the way Joe's singing it, quite fast tempo, which is quite different for Def Leppard actually. Yeah, again, I actually really like this one. Music video again, they all look great. It's got a good beat to the song. You've got this screeching guitar in there, almost like an alarm going off, which is good. I like the sound of that. You've got Higher, the word being repeated, with the drums kind of in sync with that. I think that's a great opportunity for the crowd to get involved with that bit. That would be good to play live. The guitar solo by Phil Collins is in the music video is great. I think that's why I love Def Leppard so much, because of the intensity of the guitar in their songs, and the amount and the duration of guitar solos. I'm just going to check something. Right, number 4 is this guitar. Now, when I heard this for the first time, I thought, wow, this is nice. It's a lovely song actually. I think it is. It's a slow song. It's more chilled. Yeah, I loved it straight away. This song. I think the lyrics as well, I really related to it. At 24, I wanted more. I am 24, and yeah, I do want more. For example, I've got a geology degree and I'm not a geologist, so I think with this song, if you take away the idea of it being about a guitar, which I know it is, but if you take that away, it could be about anything to a particular person, and that means a lot to them, and that has gotten them through the bad times. It's almost like a metaphor, that guitar. You've got a female voice in here, which is Alison Krauss, I believe, which Def Leppard haven't really done, really, so that was different. When they raise it, I wish they'd raised it more though, actually. I think it would have brought a lot more emotion to the song in comparison to that slow bit. I feel like it sounds similar to another song I've heard before, but I can't think what it is. It's a nice song overall. It's provided something different for the album for sure, a bit of a contrast, which is good. Number 5 is SOS Emergency, which is actually my favourite song on the album. Favourite song on the album, favourite track on the album. If you actually listen to this album in order, it actually works well. From coming from 4 with that being a more slow song, and then you go up again with SOS Emergency. It kind of, I think it's good when a song does that, when it goes from slow to high, like higher up. But this is doing it in a way with 2 songs sort of thing, which it creates the same effect though. Again, I feel like it's almost like I've heard it before. The SOS Emergency, that bit, I really love that bit. Now, I am 24, I listen to modern bands, you know. Now, there's a band called Jonas Brothers, and for some reason, this song reminds me of something they've done. Now, actually, Jonas Brothers actually did have a song called SOS, but it's not that song it reminds me of. It's just kind of like an overall Jonas Brothers sound. I don't know. I think it's that SOS Emergency bit, when that's being sung, it reminds me a bit of that, which is a bit odd, but yeah. The overall vibe is what I'm talking about there, not just what have I wrote here? Yeah, just like it just reminds me of the Jonas Brothers. I don't know why. It's yeah. You've got like beep sounds at the end of the song, which is interesting. The lyrics are very catchy, especially the chorus bit, which is the SOS emergency part. Which actually the band singing, not just Joe. It has a positive sound. It gets you going, definitely. So number 6 is Liquid Dust. It's a very nice start to the song. Again, a positive, quite positive and uplifting sound. The start reminds me of something. Again, a lot of these songs remind me of other songs. I need to stop saying So another well-wrote song lyrically. The rhyme, the lines fit hand in hand. I feel this album almost has an early 2000s sound to it, quite poppy even. I think that's why the song sounds so familiar to me with growing up through those times. You got violin in this one, which actually is in a lot of the songs, violin, and I think they've done that in the past as well. You've got a pause, and then the guitar comes flying in from a distance, getting louder and louder, which is interesting. It's like you can hear it getting closer almost. I don't know how they've managed to do that, but that's like the visualization I get in my head, which is interesting for sure. It's not just a guitar. It's yeah. I think it's quite good when you review songs and you realise these little bits that you wouldn't realise if you were just listening to them. Very creative. Yeah, I'm definitely singing along to this one with the liquid dust. The way Joe sings the same two words, slightly different, is good when they repeat in Liquid Dust, those lines. Yeah, it's like it just flows brilliantly. I've literally wrote flows like a river because it does. It flows really well. The contrast of singing in different ways makes the song a very enjoyable listen. Okay, so this is when I actually stopped writing the review and I went away to listen. In all honesty, I was listening to Motley Crue at the time. But I eventually then was like, okay, I'm going to listen more to the second part of this album. And it's a bit different to my first thoughts on the album, I'd say. So number 7 is You Rock Me, which they wrote in a strange way. I don't know why they did that. The beginning is quite different. It's almost like, the only thing I think of is like it's a bit like Bollywood almost, sounding music, which again it's interesting, it's different, it's new, and that actually repeats throughout most of the song in the background actually. Yeah, they changed the sound towards the end, and the bass is strong in this one. Again, it sounds familiar to me. It's odd. Parts where Joe is singing quite fast. You've got a nice guitar solo part in there. And actually below that guitar solo, you've got Joe singing, which adds a different touch to the song because the guitar is louder than Joe's voice. So that's something different. So number 8 is Goodbye for Good This Time. I think this is a nice song to listen to. I think it'd be a good song for a film. I feel like it could have been had a bit more of a oomph to it, which would have added to the emotions, because I think the bass was there. Level, that is, not the instrument. But if it was raised a bit more, it would have added a bit more, I think. Yeah, it's obviously an emotional song, but it doesn't really hit me, to be honest. It's not like, whoa, that's like, whoa. It doesn't. It's a bit safe almost, I think. You got violins again. Maybe a bit of electric guitar in there. Could have, with the contrast with the acoustic, could have added a bit more. I don't know. Maybe would have brought it up. It's quite the same all the way through. It's a bit repetitive. Not much change in elevation. It's just a bit plateau sort of thing. I do really like the start to it though. But then I just got a bit bored with it, in all honesty. My thoughts may change, but that's what I'm saying at this moment in time. So number 9 is All We Need. This song, oh my goodness. I literally spent ages, right, because it sounds so much like a U2 song, and I was thinking, which one is it? I was like, this is like almost identical. And I was thinking, and I actually don't know what U2 song it is. But yeah, it sounds very U2 like, which I love because I love U2. I really like the sound actually, the beginning of this song. But it's almost like they play that and they're like, no, we're not doing that actually. And then they go into the rest of the song, and it goes off just in a totally different direction. I doubt that was their intentions though, but that's what I have in my head. You got a nice bass guitar in this one. Yeah, there's definitely U2 vibes though, definitely. Like keep erupting and going back down throughout the song. That's all I've got really to say on that one. So number 10 is Open Your Eyes. If they'd raised this song, it could have been a lot better. The bass is very dominant, which is fine, that's fine. I wasn't keen on this one. It's not because of the bass, like I say, it's just a bit the same. It's not catching me, it's not grabbing my attention. It's just a bit like, yeah, it's not. So number 11 is Give Me a Kiss. Again, it's not grabbing my attention. It's not like I thought this album would maybe sound more like the 2015 stuff. It doesn't. Maybe the first 6 tracks, yeah, but when we're moving into these ones, no, it's a bit odd really. Yeah, and you get like a sound of a kiss at the end, which is appropriate for the song. Number 12 is Angels in brackets Can't Help You Now. See, I prefer this one actually. This is a bit better. The sound in the background, I think, is violins. Used quite a bit in this album, like I said before. I like that sound. Again, though, it's quite the same throughout. There's not much change. It doesn't I don't even know what I wrote there. I think I've just wrote here that it sounds familiar again, but more of something they've done, not what someone else has done. The song really is so far actually from what I expected of Def Leppard's normal sound. There's a nice guitar solo, but I think it's almost deflated because of the rest of the song, in all honesty. There's no build up to get that feeling. And then you're going back to the same sound really. I actually don't like this song. The ending is a bit much. Then the keys at the end, yeah, it's just a bit, I don't know, a bit like stuff was just thrown in at the end instead of thrown in throughout the song. It's a bit odd, really. 13, Lifeless. Bit of Hotel California sound at the beginning of this one, I don't know. I actually don't mind this one. Joe's a bit more of a go in his voice. It's not just which I don't understand why in these other bit of songs which I wasn't keen on, I didn't like, why Joe kind of just sung just the same. There was no like rises or anything, which he can still do. Definitely. So I don't know why that was the case. I don't know. Yeah, it could have been more up, this song, Lifeless. But it's actually alright. Again, we've got female vocalists in this one. I think it's Alison Krauss again. I don't know her, so I mean, I know a few people were commenting saying, oh, I don't really like this, but to be honest, it doesn't really make much difference to me in these songs. I mean, it's a bit unusual for Def Leppard, not something I'm used to, but it's not necessarily bad, I'd say. You've got a lot of oohs and ahs, which I think wasn't really needed in this song. I mean, I guess with the female vocalist, was it needed? Maybe not. Is it a bad thing? Maybe not. Don't know. Yeah, she has got a good voice, you know, don't get me wrong, she's quite angelic sounding. There is a version without her, though, just a Joe Elliott version if you want to listen to that, it's on YouTube. I mean, I've listened to all this on YouTube. I haven't bought the album in all honesty because I won't be listening to a lot of these songs in the future. But yeah, I feel like the song's still lacking though. Number 4 is From Here to Eternity. I had lost interest at this point and I was thinking, how many more songs have I got to go here? Which isn't a good sign for an album review. It's not an album where I was excited to hear the next song. It's so far from how I feel and how I feel listening to like their old stuff, like off Hysteria. It's not 80s. And I know it's not the 80s anymore. I do know that. But yeah, I'm not a fan of this song either. So number 15 is Unbreakable, and I've actually seen quite a few positive reviews about this, and I agree with it. I like this song actually. You've got almost like a techno, is that the word, sounding guitar piece. Yeah, and I just want to say, Joe Elliott, his voice is one of my favourite voices in music, and I know what he can do, and I feel like we hear this more in this song. I really like the chorus. There's more of a change, more of a variation in Joe's vocals in this one, definitely. You really notice it because the other songs are so similar vocally and sound-wise actually as well. I think that it's one I will listen to in the future, definitely. The vocals end, then we've got the guitar, the drums come in, and then we get that guitar solo. A lot better. Okay, so that's the album. Now I've wrote quite a bit here, so I'm going to go on. This is going to be a long review actually. I mean, there's 15 songs, so it's going to be a long review. So overall, we have got some heavy rock in like the first half, I'd say, but the majority is soft rock. If even that, it's more pop, in all honesty. A lot of the songs sound familiar to me. It's definitely a different direction for Def Leppard. I prefer their heavier stuff because I prefer heavier rock music. Will they go back to that sound? I don't know. I hope so, because I know they can do it. I know probably the fans prefer it. I prefer it. At the end of the day, these guys have been going for decades. And they have still got it, I believe. A lot of bands, I'm not going to name any. I've seen videos of them live. I mean, I've actually seen Def Leppard live, so I know for a fact they are decent live still. Which haven't got it anymore, these other bands. But Def Leppard have. So, you know, hats off to them for being so great throughout all these decades. Staying true to themselves. You know, this album, yeah, it's not my favourite. Some of the songs I don't like, but it's alright. Some of the songs I will listen to in the future. Yeah, also I love the sound of the 70s and 80s, which this album isn't really. Well, it's odd because you get the bands from that era, which, with that sound still. And most of the time, what have I wrote here? I need to read this before I actually say it. Yeah, you either get the bands that keep that sound, or they kind of go a bit halfway and will try and modernise the sound, or you'll get ones that will just totally go modern, and I think almost Def Leppard are touching that with this more poppy sounding stuff. But I understand that they're trying to make an album which sells at the same time, because 70s and 80s sounding songs aren't the ones that are in the charts. But at the same time though, I mean, they've still done well in the charts, and the Def Leppard fans are still going to listen to whatever they release. So I feel like they still can record stuff that sounds like their older stuff and it still do good. But like I say, I still will listen to some of the songs of this album. SOS Emergency I really like. I think I do prefer the 2015 album. I can't say indefinite because I haven't listened to it in full actually. This album has 15 songs. I think it's too many. It could have been shorter. I feel in some songs it was the same throughout. It's a bit flat even. Not much changes in the sounds. It gets a bit boring at times. The songs they've released as singles with the music videos are the more typical sounding Def Leppard songs, which is probably why they released them. And I do like those ones. My favourites, like I say, are probably SOS Emergency and Unbreakable, actually, which is the last one on the album. Nothing really made me go like, whoa, which actually a song has done recently, which I'll get to. Not a Def Leppard song. Yeah, nothing really blows my mind on this album, to be honest, which is a shame, but it is what it is. But when I think of like songs like Gods of War and you compare it to the songs on here, it's just a bit. But I understand it is 2022. We're not in the 80s anymore. I do understand. Even like Me and My Wine, which I really like. I love that song. It's so different. I mean, Me and My Wine was more kind of. That was like early Def Leppard. That was even different to their later stuff like Hysteria. I mean, when you think about it, with those songs, like especially with Joe's vocals, they're often quite like screechy and high and in a good way. Which is that, but that wasn't on this album at all. Which, and I know he can still do that because I've seen it on the live videos. Would be nice to see that a bit more. Heard that a bit more, I should say. Yeah, it's not an album that I'd put on and listen to the whole thing. I wouldn't. So I'm not going to buy it. To be honest, I'm not. Yeah, I think it's just not what I like about. It's not what the thing. Like what I like about Def Leppard isn't shown really much in this album. I think that's why I don't like it that much. It's not that iconic sound. It like I say, it is what it is. I'm afraid. It's not Def Leppard in a lot of cases. It's not. I'll review. I wrote here. I'll review Paramania. That would be better. We'll go back to the 80s. I'm just gonna talk a bit about here what other people were saying. People were saying that the vocals are not being sky high, which is what I've just said. I agree. That is like Def Leppard, isn't it? With Joe's high screeching like vocals. And I still think you can do it though, because I've seen it. Like, I'll even go halfway, you know. Yeah, they just chose not to really do that. Lyrics. Somebody mentioned that the lyrics are a bit. I think some songs do have good lyrics on this album, but the ones which I didn't really like, yeah, they're a bit repetitive. You got the same line just being said over and over again, or repeated further over in the song. They're not. A lot of them aren't very catchy. I think it's because also you lose interest when listening to them. They're not going to stick in your head as well. So yeah, that's the review. It's a long review, this one, guys, I'm afraid. So I somebody else, I'm not going to say it because I'm going to keep it a secret, has released a album this month. Very big back in the 70s and 80s, still very big now. I've listened to 2 of their new songs off the album and I was like, oh my goodness. It blew my mind, it really did. It contrasts to this album a lot better for what I like to listen to. But I'll listen to the rest of it. If I like it, I'm going to buy it. And then I will release a review for that. So I still will be reviewing Bon Jovi's Lost Highway, and then I will start going back more into the 70s and 80s albums that were released back then. I think I am going to probably do a review of Marillion's album, which is, oh, it didn't work. Yeah, I mean, with Def Leppard, I wouldn't say I'm disappointed. A lot of fans were saying, oh, I'm disappointed with this album. I wouldn't say I'm disappointed because I didn't expect it to be like another Hysteria album, which I think fans often expect, but it's not going to be another Hysteria album. There is songs on there that I like, but for them to be still going after all this time, I'm grateful for that. And they've done so well as well, you know, so I do have a lot of respect for them. I really do. They're one of my favourite bands, they are. So, is this it? Oh dear. I'm sure this came up before when I literally looked for it. Oh, it reached number 1, did it? Oh. I'm not surprised. It's a good album. So yeah, the album I'm thinking about reviewing is Marillion's Misplaced Childhood. Yes, that's it. Album. That's the one I'm wanting to review. So that'll probably be the next album review. Well, I'm confirming it now, aren't I? That will take us back to the 80s, 1985, which was a brilliant year for music. Probably my favourite year for music, actually. So thank you for watching and sticking with me through this long review. So yeah, take care everyone. Bye.